Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. Inter Miami loses 3-0. Terrible way to go. And of course, the broadcast is screwed up. Let's just end it there. No, let's keep going. Saur, how you feeling? Saur has muted himself. He doesn't want to talk about it. Inter Miami loses 3-0. I don't
I'm
know.
fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I don't know
Absolutely
what to say.
nothing wrong here.
It could have been 6-0.
Oh, easily. I'll be honest, man. After the first 60 minutes, it was playing on my screen and I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening tactically or anything because it was just bad. It was just bad.
I
Once
agree.
again, we had so much of the ball and did absolutely nothing with it. Like, nothing. Uh, Messi looked sharp in the first half, ineffective in the second half. Suarez non-existent, midfield not there. Luhan on the pitch for some reason when he shouldn't be. We're playing a high line, but we have some of our slowest defenders on the field. Is this Javi Mar? Is this Inter Miami? Is this the players? What's happening? Because I'm tired of every time trying to diagnose the issue because it feels like everyone knows what the issues are, but it's getting worse, man. We talked about in the pregame that we want to look at improvements. We want to see a performance from the team. And once again, we concede stupid goals, two really bad goals to concede, the defense all over the place. I was nervous because we hadn't played this back three before. The chemistry was not there, and we just got completely caught twice, conceded a goal, tried to do something with the ball to get back into the game, but as soon as we conceded the second, it was over. At no point in this game did I think Inter Miami was going to come back or even wanted to win because we're so far away from that team that would be losing 3-0 and we'd still be believing that, you know what, we might come back and actually win this game. At no point did it feel like Inter Miami players wanted to win this game. At no point did we feel like we had the ideas to actually go out and do something that would change the result. It was just one dimensional, stagnant, stale. Despite the change in the formation, everything seemed completely opposite of what we should have been doing. And Orlando was great. They deserved to win. They were fantastic. And honestly, shame on the players for losing the way they did in a derby game. Of course, we can blame Javi Mascherano, but the effort was just not there. Absolutely none whatsoever.
First off, I want to say again, guys, we've been switching over to a new streaming platform and we're having a couple hiccups. So if you got onto the wrong broadcast, I hope you join us soon. And I apologize for the confusion on that one. Yeah, this is bad. I said, and I want to be consistent. Like, I don't want to be a reactionary. I don't want to be overzealous in the moment. When Vancouver beat us, I said 4 games. The timing after 4 games can be right for the new coach. And so Javier Mascherano has to prove himself in the next 4 games that he should be the coach. That hasn't happened, obviously. Inter Miami has won 1 game against the New York Red Bulls, who are floundering. They got beat up by Minnesota, who's good. They got a nice draw on the road against San Jose for an average team, which is what they are. And they now got beat up at home by Orlando City. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but Inter Miami, if LAFC beats the LA Galaxy, who has 0 wins this season, they don't even need to beat them. They just need a draw. 1 point. Inter Miami will fall to 11th in the Supporters' Shield table. This team has been bottom 10 over the past 7 weeks. They are bad. And this is what they are. Like, this is deserved. Orlando City could have scored, probably should have. Like, I don't want to be Taylor Twellman, but they actually did have 1 or 2 absolutely embarrassing misses, especially by Ojeda. that Inter Miami, this is what they are, dude. And it's not surprising to me. Like, I'm not angry. This is not anything other than what I expected.
No,
I
but that's so sad though. We should be angry. We should be disappointed. And we're
that's
at a stage where it's beyond that anger and disappointment. It's just acceptance of the fact that, forgive my language, we're truly and utterly shit.
okay. I agree with you. And I think that's why tonight doesn't bother me as much as what this club has become. It's the fact that we've let ourselves become average when we have this incredible team that is so embarrassing, so scary, and kind of disgusting. I see a lot of people on Twitter that are Messi fans, and that's fine. They interact with Inter Miami because they like watching it, Messi. And they just talk about how bad Inter Miami is, and it's so frustrating most of the time. But because most of the time we've been the best team in the MLS, and it's like a lack of understanding of what the MLS is and what the caliber of the players here are. But we are an average to below average MLS team right now. It's fully deserved. Cringe says, guys, this season is over. I'm done. There's no coming back after this. I want to be clear about something because I don't know if I've communicated this particularly well over the past couple of weeks. But you texted me during the game. Like, we went from like great to good to average to below average, and it's all happened over the last 6 weeks. It's not true. They have been bad for 6 weeks with
No,
a
longer.
game. Yeah,
Longer.
well,
6 weeks was when I had gone on a little holiday. And that was the best holiday of my life because I didn't have to deal with this.
yeah, 6.5. Now we're getting into 7 weeks. They've been below average for 7 weeks now. And that's why when I talk about firing Javier Mascherano, it's not because they lost a game. It's not because they had a poor performance. It's because I've seen them be bad for 7 weeks where they've been a below average team. And I understand that their standings didn't always reflect that, and they're starting to. I understand that, getting to the semifinal of a Champions Cup didn't necessarily reflect that. But if you were watching the performances game in and game out, you could see the offense was falling apart, and then the confidence went. And when the confidence goes, the defense falls apart. And now you have nothing. And you're at home against your rival getting beat up 3-0. And by the way, I like you, probably were starting to glaze over the last 30 minutes. It didn't feel like they quit from a we're going to stop running perspective. It felt like they quit from a we have no expectation we can come back in this. So we're going to still put in effort. We're still going to run hard, but we know we're not going to score 3 goals. And
Like,
that's, I
there's
think, the
no
most disappointing part.
ideas. There's absolutely no ideas. Nobody knows what to do when we suffer. And this, we scored, we've conceded 15 goals in the last 5 games? Less? Like, there's everyone's run out of ideas. And this is a team that has World Cup champions on it. It is disastrous. To say that this team lacks physicality, to say that this team lacks athleticism, that's fine. But this is much more than that because we've gone from being the best team in the MLS, team that was on track to completely destroy all MLS records. And let's be honest, there's still 20 games left at least this season, right? Something like that.
21.
We can still salvage the season. It's not over by any means, but we're so far off from what
It
we were
it is
supposed to
over.
be.
It is
Like,
over. It is over unless something dramatic changes. And I think that's what I want to get to. I think that's where I want to be right now. And you can be somewhere else if you want. I need this own cathartic therapy. Angel says, or maybe Angel, I apologize. Scotty, you said Mache out after the Orlando game. Paolo says the
done,
only
man.
silver lining would be Mache getting fired, but doubt it happens. He needs to go. The only way you're going to salvage this season is by moving on from your head coach and getting a full reset with someone who is much more competent. I want to be clear. To this minute, I still think Inter Miami can win the MLS Cup. All they have to do is sneak into the playoffs because they have the talent to pull a couple games out. We saw it against LAFC in that second leg. They have the talent to pull out anything. But if you want to salvage Inter Miami being the best team in the league this year, you're not going to do it unless you move on from Javier Mascherano. This is the time to do it. You have 6 days until your next game. Move on from him. Let the new assistant come in. Give him 3 games to sort of try and settle things down. Bring in a new coach after that Columbus game. And you will have 2 weeks to work with everyone before the Club World Cup. If you don't do that today or tomorrow or probably in the next 36 hours, if you don't fire Javier Mascherano, you're going to keep him through the Club World Cup and you're going to be embarrassed on the world stage. And while that wouldn't necessarily bother me, it's going to bother me because I think they're going to fire him after that. So just do it now and give yourself a better chance. I want to say something that we could talk about for 30 seconds. It was reported before the game Inter Miami's planning on signing 2 offensive players in this upcoming window in 2 weeks before the Club World Cup. One of them is supposed to be a big name. Keep an eye out for Angel Di Maria. I don't know. I don't want to link that or say that's what's going to happen, but they are planning to sign 2 offensive players. I don't want Javier Mascherano to be the guy picking out these players. Now, obviously, if it's Angel Di Maria or Neymar or whatever, something like that, like he's not a part of that. But if it's the next Baltasar Rodriguez, it's just as likely that it's going to be Telasco Segovia as it is Gonzalo Lujan. And I don't want him being a part of that either. So I'm very nervous that they're going to not just go through the next transfer window, bring in 2 players, one of which may be an albatross contract for the next couple of weeks or next couple of years. But if they don't move on from Javier Mascherano soon, then it's going to be the same thing for the summer window. And if you don't get the reinforcements you need in the summer window, the season actually could be lost. So I think now is the time.
Messi was just interviewed, so we don't really know what the quotes that came out were. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But the next game is against Philadelphia, who's top of the Eastern Conference. If we play like this against them, we're getting embarrassed because it's away from home. We're not winning that game. Let's assume that game is done and dusted. Even if we get a draw out of that, we haven't won consecutive games in how long? I don't even want to look at the fixtures and the results that we've had. We haven't won a single consecutive game since
Atlanta United, and then we had the international break, and we played Philadelphia. We got 2-1 wins in both of those. Those were in March, so it's been 7 weeks.
Awful.
Ace says very difficult to watch.
In this game, 3 last game, 4 in the game before that. We scored 4, then we conceded 3 before that, and then we conceded 4 before that. This team has genuinely lost all ability to play football. And I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I can't believe how far we've fallen. You and I both agree that Javi Mascherano needs to go, right? Like this is the last straw. And potentially the game against Philadelphia is going to break the camel's back. Do you genuinely think it's going to happen? Like, as a rational viewer of Inter Miami's backroom decision making, do you think
I want to say something? I don't think I have, like, my ego's not so big to think that we have any say over this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I do think fan sentiment does play a role in this. And so for anyone out there, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's within the student ticket holder groups, or whether it's, other podcasts or whatever, if they say you don't have to fire Javier Mascherano yet, they are giving Inter Miami a pass to not do anything. And I think that's the wrong thing now. I think if you are a fan in any sort of capacity that you talk with other Inter Miami fans, you should at least be willing to say, if you believe it, Javier Mascherano should get fired now. There shouldn't be, he's a young coach, he needs a grace period. That shouldn't be a part of it. If you believe he should stay, if you want to see him stay, if you like some of the changes, like, that's fine. We're not saying you can't feel that way. But there should be no grace period. There should be no, who else would we even get? There should be no, he's friends with Messi. None of that should be a reason why you keep him or don't keep him as an Inter Miami fan. And then when you take those things out of the equation, you decide, do I want to give him more time or do I think he should be fired? You should vocalize that. You shouldn't be afraid to say he should be fired just because you think we can't get a better replacement or, whatever. He's too young, whatever it is. Like, if you think he should be fired, you should be willing to say that. There should be no arbitrary grace period, I don't think. And I think fans need to send that message out, and that's when the front office may respond. I don't think Messi's happy right now. Doesn't look like he's happy. I don't think Jordi Alba's happy. I'm sure he's happier today than he was before 3 games ago when he actually gets to play like himself. I don't think Ian Frey's happy right now. I don't think Yannick Bright's happy right now. I don't think Suarez is happy right now. I don't think Ustari's happy right now.
By the way, I don't think Ian Frey is going to see another minute to Javi Marshano's here. Like,
So you mean he's going to
so
start next week,
unfortunate.
right? Is that what you're saying?
Uh, yeah, probably.
JVL says it's a combination of playing the wrong format, players for what the game plan we have. I want to be clear about something else. It's beyond that. This team doesn't believe in itself. It has a crisis of faith. It doesn't believe in its coach or its direction. It's beyond. Like 6 weeks ago, it was about personnel. It was about matching your game plan to who's actually playing on the field. It has gone beyond that, and that's why you're seeing performances drop across the board. It's why Ustadi and Yannick Bright and Noah Allen and Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez and Telasco Segovia and today, it's why everyone looks worse. It's not just one player out of position anymore. It is a crisis of faith. It's mental at this point. And that's why this team needs a reset. And you're not going to get that by switching to a back five. You're not going to get it by having a team meeting where Messi comes together and says, rah, rah, let's do it. You have to make a meaningful change to reset the atmosphere and environment. I don't know how Messi talks, but that's the only way you're going to get this back on track. I truly believe that. And so whether Javier Mascherano gets fired today or tomorrow, I don't know. Like I'm really bad at timing when coaches are going to get fired. So I will admit I'm not a great predictor.
I don't.
They're not going to do well against Philadelphia. It's not going to happen against Philadelphia. They might win against Montreal, who's the following game, midweek game at home. Montreal's not very good. And then they play Columbus. They're not going to win that game either. So you're talking about 2 more losses out of your next 3. And you're talking about the only worst period in Inter Miami history are the days before Phil Neville got fired. And guess what? Phil Neville got fired for it. So what are we talking about? What do you need to see? What more has to go wrong for you to say we need to fire this coach? That's where I'm at. I respect a fan who thinks we should give him more time. I respect the fan for saying that. I don't respect the front office for saying that because you made a mistake in hiring this guy in the first place. You should have known better. And now you need to rectify your mistake or ruin your entire project or the potential of your entire project. And I will also say, if we're going to suck, I'd rather suck with Robert Taylor and Drake Callender and Ian Frey than with Gonzalo Lujan because he's just okay.
By the way, I'm looking at the advanced stats and they absolutely despise Ian Frey. I don't know what game they were watching, by the way.
I think he turned the ball over a lot, and we see that as him trying to be offensive, which I appreciate. But I think the advanced stats say he turned the ball over in the final third a lot, which
I'll have to rewatch the game because I didn't see it that way. Anyways.
Okay, let's talk about this game in particular. Ian Frey starts we get a back 5. So that was interesting and new. I think it could have really worked if the defenders were Toto Aviles, David Martinez, and Ian Frey, or Maxi Falcon for one of them. But when you put in your 2 slowest center backs in Falcon and Lujan, you're going to get beat in transition over and over and over again. I don't think it's the game plan that was wrong. I think it's the personnel.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I literally texted you on the side and said, why are we playing our 2 slowest center backs if we want to play such a high line? The 2 goals that Orlando scored both came off of our high line and from our corner, one of them as well, which was insane. No amateur level team should be conceding that. And if they do concede that goal, next day in training, they're going to get absolutely hammered by their coaching staff. That was unacceptable.
It wasn't just the 3 goals. They had like 2 or 3 other golden opportunities.
They could have absolutely decimated us.
Michael says
and this a derby game as well, man. It wasn't even just a regular game. It was a derby game at home. We should be doing that to Orlando City, what they did to us tonight. Like, it was awful, awful.
Michael says this team is so unbalanced. All the teams in the MLS know how to play Miami. It's pathetic. Here's what I want to respond to that. Inter Miami with their success under the Lionel Messi sort of banner has been a high volume, high possession team playing in the opposition half, winning balls in the opposition half, and then creating quick transitions that lead to multiple goals. When you do that, you put the opposition midfield under tremendous pressure. You put the opposition back line under tremendous pressure. It is intimidating. And then all it takes is one bad touch to get to Suarez or Messi, and all of a sudden you're giving up a real opportunity. But when we play so deep, The players that are turning the ball over and for in transitions are the attacking players of the opposition who are much more calm and comfortable doing that. And then the back line for the opposition is way back there in position, ready to defend when they need to. It's a terrible style of soccer considering the talent you have on the field. It's not going to fix itself unless they play a different style. And I don't see Javier Mascherano doing that.
I feel stupid for saying that this roster was balanced. Was I wrong for saying that this roster was balanced?
No, you were wrong for thinking Javier Mascherano was going to play into that. You were saying that when Tota Aviles was starting and Ian Frey was starting, and it was attack and defense, and the midfield was playing both ways. You didn't say that when Gonzalo Lujan was starting every game. He's been starting every game now.
What does he have over Javier Mascherano?
They gave him a big contract. That's what it is. They gave him a big contract, and now they feel pressure to play him. Javier Mascherano said, I will give you a lot of money, and I'll play you a lot. And by the way, if it wasn't for Noah Allen stepping up, those two would be the starters, Falcone and Lujan, who are the two slowest center backs on our team. And remember last year when we talked about our center backs, we always blasted Christoph for being too slow, and we blasted Frey for being too slow, and then putting Busquets back there, we had to protect him with the back three. And the two center back additions, thanks to Javier Mascherano's excellent ID for talent, were Gonzalo Lujan and Maxi Falcone. I don't remember if we did this on screen the other day, but we looked at Gonzalo Lujan's age. No, we didn't do this live. He's 24. He's not getting any faster. He's not getting any stronger. He's not getting any taller. He's not getting any better. This dude is not MLS caliber player. And Inter Miami is going to be loaning him out for the rest of his contract as soon as Javier Mascherano leaves, because any coach can see this. And so if you're a guy giving a TAM contract like that, I can't trust you to bring in new players. I can't trust your talent ID. And the fact that you keep playing him shows me that you think when your seat's on fire, this is the guy that's going to help you. That makes me think you still believe that he's the best player. I don't know what to say, man. It's crazy. Miami King says, nothing left, no offense, no defense, no mentality, something wrong in the locker room, totally a mess. This is the other thing that we can't say with certainty, but it feels like something's off in the locker room. You have players missing multiple games for a wedding. You have the coach saying things about a guy that's not his guy, and the player coming out and saying, that's not true at all. It's just a disaster, man. And I can't believe it, because this is the promised team. This is Lionel Messi and his boys, and they have the talent. We've seen it, and they're this bad. It's crazy.
The thing is, if this continues, it's gonna sour everything about the project of Inter Miami and the project of Lionel Messi as well.
What do you mean if it continues? It already
because there's still time to save it. But the thing is, if they don't step in and make changes at the right time, it's going to go downhill very quickly, and it's going to sour the entire experience. I'm waiting for the Messi quotes, man. I want to see what he said, because it's very telling the way.
He's not going to say anything.
Yeah, maybe not.
Brad says, can we bring back Neville? I will just say the Portland Timbers are doing much better than Inter Miami over the past couple months. They are a top 10 team, while Inter Miami is a bottom 10 team over the last 2 months. And I wouldn't trade that roster for this roster. Okay, should we even talk about the game? Back five, Jordi Alba higher up. Ian Frey certainly played with freedom to get high up the field. Like, I thought that was good. And I think for a while it looked promising. The first half, Messi had some nice moments. Suarez didn't look great, but he did miss the last week and a half. So it's not an excuse, but it is sort of a reason. Tadeo Allende struggled,
competitive half, though. Like we were going toe to toe with Orlando. Of course, they had their chances. This is a good Orlando team. Like, make no mistakes. So we were competitive. But the worst part is, as soon as we concede one more, this team just goes. There's like no tactical ideas to change anything from the coaching staff, and then the players on the pitch are like, listen, this isn't working. What do we do? And he tried. He tried to make the changes at the 58th minute, brought in Fafa Pico, brought in Telasco Segovia, but it's just so one-dimensional, so meh. That's the word. It's just
Well,
so
there's
meh.
just no belief, right?
There's no also like there's no tactical nuance to how you want to make changes on the pitch, right? I don't want to say that Tata
Well,
Martino was a tactical genius either, because
can I
we don't
stop
want
you
to
for a second though?
revise history, of course.
Is it because Javier Mascherano isn't telling them to do stuff, or is it because they are looking at him and saying that's an idiotic idea, and they have no faith based on what he's the decisions he's made over the last 3 months that it's
I
going to
don't think
work,
that's
and
how
so they're
they
going to
go
try
into the
different things.
game. When they go into the game, they're like, okay, coach has this idea, we're going to implement it. But when it doesn't work, they look to the coach and they're like, son, this isn't working. Give us something else. They're destroying us. We're getting caught on the counter time and time again. You're asking us, our two slowest players, to play a high line. How do you expect us to counter that? Do I shift somewhere? Does Jordi Alba need to play slightly back? None of that. It just like, of course, you can question the coach, but you still go into the game thinking that these are the tactics. But once things go south, that's it. There's no other ideas on how to come back into the game. Whereas this team had the resilience and mindset of an animal last season. We could come back down from like 3-0, and I'd still, in the 70th minute, if it was 3-0, I would still think at home this Inter Miami team would be trying to win that game. And I'd almost expect us to be like, okay, at least a couple of goals. But this one is just like this team is mentally shot, and there's a
And it's
lot
the
of
same
fatigue.
players. It's the same
It's
players too.
physical, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And speaking of something like, we gave a lot of praise to Javier Mascherano over the first 8 games of the season or so. But one of the things we did cry out about was not rotating his best players. And you can see that, I think, now. It's crushing them. Giovanni
He
says,
doesn't trust
can
anybody else. Sorry.
I know. And it goes back to his ability to talent ID. Giovanni says, can we say at this point that the Messi project has failed and its two biggest factors were nepotism and arrogance? Here's what I will say. Messi, I think, is going to stay all the way until 2027. I think. So I don't think it's going to be fair to say we failed, but this year is getting close to being a failure or needing a miracle to not be a failure. Like, I think we're close to that.
Just about. I still have belief that we're going to make the right decision in the next 2 weeks. But who knows?
Is okay. Speculating. Is there a fix that will make you feel better about Javier Mascherano? Like, can he do something to prove himself? Because I don't think, we went and beat Columbus in Cleveland, and they got a 1-0 win, but they were defending for their life the entire second half. Columbus had like 3.5 xG. Miami had one real shot on goal, and they just scored it, and they won 1-0. And at the time, it was like, yeah, that's what great teams do. We can just get one opportunity. But even if they win against Philadelphia like that, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't make the team have more confidence in itself. I really don't know. Maybe they're hoping Angel Di Maria comes in and then just shakes everything up. But they had to fire Phil Neville when they brought in Messi, because you were never going to let Phil Neville coach Messi. Why would you give this guy an opportunity to coach more superstar power when he's proven he can't handle this? Can I ask you a question? Can you add Angel Di Maria and become more defensive? Because I think that might be what Javier Mascherano does.
The thing is, we don't have any wingers, man. We don't have any wingers in this team.
Well, okay. So I'll go back to this report by Michael Giannoni, who spoke with,
We're gonna get
I
a
think,
winger,
Mascherano and some Inter Miami people. They're planning on bringing in 2 wingers in this
but
upcoming
they
window, which is
might
open from
also
June
think
1st.
Baltazar as a winger and Segovia as a winger.
I
So,
know. I know. It could be 2 midfielders that are,
but
I mean,
I'll
2
be
wingers that
honest
are
with you,
actually
man.
midfielders.
We're just two bozos with a mic talking about Inter Miami, and we try to make sense of everything that's happening. We try to make sense of the tactics, the decision making, the team selection, all of that. And we can see there's some things that need to change, some things that need to improve. But I'm coming to a point when I'm running out of ideas. I genuinely think it will not get better than this. I
Yeah.
don't think it will. Like, I think this is it, man. This is what we are. If we don't change the coach, I don't see where the improvement happens. Because now we're at a point where it's not just the physicality of the game, but also the mental aspect of the game that's suffering. And I'm afraid that the players are not behind the coach anymore. And once you lose the locker room, that's it. That's done. How do you come back from that, right? Like, what,
And that's what,
no matter
yeah,
what changes you
that's my
make,
point.
how do you come back from that? I can
The
change the
issues,
players on the pitch. Fine, they might have one good performance, but it's going to take so much more. You have to put in 5, 6, 7 good performances, maybe even 7, 8 wins back to back to get back to that mental mindset. But how do you start? You have to. What decisions do you make that can spur the team to do that? Because right now, we're not scoring goals. Right now, we're conceding 3 goals a game. How does it improve? I genuinely don't know. If I did, I would be the coach of Inter Miami.
and that's why I said to start this, it's not about a personnel change here or there. It's not about telling your fullback to go up anymore. Like it's not. That's what it was
It's
about
beyond
6
that.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like 6 weeks ago, that's what it was about. But now you've lost confidence in players. You don't have the ability to get them to rise up and be more than themselves. In fact, you figured out a way to make them worse than themselves. And that's a you thing. Like I'm talking about Javier Mascherano and his coaching staff. I also want to be clear. We don't know what Javier Mascherano's coaching staff is like and how much of an influence they have. He's responsible for it. So he's going to be the one that gets fired for it. Like I don't like maybe he has terrible assistant coaches and they all get together in a room and convince themselves they're right. I don't know, but he is responsible for it. So it
That's
doesn't
no
take away
excuse.
the pressure.
Absolutely no excuse. Yeah.
But I mean, they'll all get fired if that happens, right? So, Nia says, imagine the Club World Cup. Oh, Messi being interviewed, I guess, is a big deal because he never does interviews. Okay, that makes sense. Nia says, imagine the Club World Cup. Their goal was to get out of the group stage. They wanted to be. They were serious about that. They wanted to get out of the group stage. They're going to lose every game. They're going to be like 15,
No.
like 0 to
Yeah.
15, and the goal differential.
They're going to get embarrassed.
I think they might
By
score
the
2
way,
goals and give
the
up
first
13.
Messi quote is out, and he says, now we'll truly see if we're a team in difficult times, because when everything's going well, it's very easy. When difficult times come, that's when we have to be more united than ever, be a true team, and pull ourselves together. I think that's where it is, man. Like, I think it's beyond tactics, it's beyond those
But
nuances.
why wasn't it like
It's,
that after the Vancouver game? I don't
I don't know.
understand that. No. I think that's this is not a shot at Messi as a player, but his quotes aren't going to mean anything to me because why wasn't it
Nothing,
like that after
absolutely.
Vancouver?
But my point is that I think I'm at that point where I think you can't change things by changing the personnel, by changing the tactics, by playing higher up, by playing
Okay.
wider. I think it's beyond that now. The players have honestly, I think they need a boost of confidence, and I don't know where that comes from.
Can I ask you a question? Because this is Messi's first time doing a TV interview like ever. He doesn't do that. So that means he recognizes there's a real problem. This is this is like it's really awful. He wouldn't be doing this if he didn't think it was awful.
The results are there to show it, man. We haven't won. We won one game in the last 7 games.
This is the worst stretch. This is the worst stretch. This is the second worst stretch in Miami history, aside from the stretch that got Phil Neville fired. And Phil Neville got fired. And I will remind you, that team was awful because they were saving all of their resources to go after Messi. Like that was understandable. And they even had some injury problems. This is a fully healthy team that has the most talent of anybody in the MLS, has the best player, the reigning MVP, the reigning number 2 in terms of goals scored last season, the best defensive defender in the league, and they can't score goals. It's not about the players. It can't be about the players when they have proven themselves at this level in this league, and it's every single one of them all at the same time. Fall River Cars says this roster should look a lot different in 2 months after the summer transfer window. I don't think it needs to.
I don't think it needs to.
I
think you add
it's not
one
a
or
talent
two
issue.
players, wingers, and I think You don't need to change anything else. You just add depth where you need, and don't play Gonzalo Luan.
Am I wrong in saying he's going to get loaned out for the rest of his contract as soon as
Yeah,
Javi
you're
Martino's
wrong.
not the coach?
Yeah, as soon as Javi Mascherano's not the coach, maybe. Because how is it that us bozos are able to see how good players like Ian Frey, Toto Aviles, David Martinez are, but the coach is not? I want Tata Martino back, man. He was so much
No, you
nicer.
don't. Yeah,
I
he
don't.
was,
I
but no, you
don't.
don't.
I
You
don't.
want a new coach. And I admire their bravery in moving on from Tata. I won't take that away because I don't want to be inconsistent in terms of how I really feel about things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose sight of how I felt back in November. Like, I think it was worth taking a gamble. But if you are willing to take the gamble, you also have to be willing to say it didn't work and try again. And that's like, I admired them for trying to be better. And so I will lose so much respect for them if they don't do the same thing here. That's what it is. Sergio says if our key players are lost to injury, what would be Mascherano's plan anyways? It would be a lot worse. I think
Can you
this
believe that
team,
we have a fully healthy roster right now? And we're still so terrible.
it's crazy. Angel says they're getting embarrassed and humiliated in the Club World Cup. Vice Rosa said Miami had Matuidi from France who won a World Cup and Miami still sucked. Matuidi stopped caring about soccer the minute that first check from Miami came in. I promise you he was out of shape and overweight from his first game in Miami. That's not what we're seeing right now with these guys. These guys care. They do. They care a lot. And that's why it's so it's so embarrassing because I don't think it's on the players. There's so many chats, and I love it and I appreciate it, and I just want to read all of them because it's so bad. The situation is so bad. Myrna says it's pathetic given the players we have. We don't have a team working cohesively because our coach doesn't know who should start, what combination of players work, or what positions they should play. I think this is a fair categorization of the problem that led to our current problem of crisis of confidence from everyone. But yeah, this is this on-pitch breakdown of what's wrong.
There's no foundation. There's nothing to build from. This is a team that went from being defensively really solid to now leaking goals day in and day out, which begs the question: what's going on in the coaching room and what's going on the training pitch? What are the instructions being given? Because we clearly don't have a foundational identity as a team. It felt like we did in the first 8 games, and after that, we just fell off a cliff. So I completely agree with that comment that there's no understanding of what the best combination of players are, how they want to play. And as I said, I think I said this 5 weeks ago, there's nothing to fall back on. That's why we're facing a crisis of identity. When teams go through bad patches, even last year, we weren't great in some games, but we still managed to eke out results. That was because we had something to fall back on in terms of how we want to play on the pitch. There's nothing here. There's no identity. And that leads to a crisis of identity. That leads to a crisis of confidence. It's just a whole bunch of issues.
Nick says Messi called out the MLS refs for being horrible. I will say I thought the ref was pretty poor today, at least for the first 70 minutes before my eyes started glazing over in disgust. We have seen this a lot this year where it feels like the refs have been particularly tough on Miami. This I felt was like a continuation of that. It's not an excuse. It doesn't really change anything, but I understand anyone on Inter Miami who feels hard done by what just happened as we lose Saur. But obviously you lost 3-0 and it could have been 5-0. Quasar says sell 70% of the team and rebuild. No Suarez and no Busi renew. Again, I don't think it's a talent problem. I think it's just a coaching issue and an environment issue, and the coach is responsible for building the environment. Natalia says Messi has to step up as captain and avoid distracting his teammates with the complaints against refereeing. This is not the Messi I know. Everyone in the team is in a mental rut. Well, here's what I will say. I don't know if Messi's ready to fire his friend Javier Mascherano yet. We don't know. And I'm sure when he gets to it, it's going to be very difficult for him to do that. So maybe he's trying to figure out what can we do, and he doesn't have answers, so he's just searching for things. That feels like a very human response to this situation. when things aren't going your way, but there are certain things that you don't want to change in the pursuit of what you're trying to achieve, you make excuses for the other things that are going wrong. But I think it's clear to everyone who's not biased by their friendships and relationships that it's a huge coaching problem. Angel says Masha ain't even a coach. He failed with the Argentine under-20 team. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think he's going to be a professional coach in 5 years? Like a
I
professional
feel like
manager?
my connection is all over the place, so I will make that comment with just one word: no.
I don't either. And if he's not going to be a coach in 5 years as a 41-year-old or whatever, it's not like he's 70 and he's going to retire. Like no one's going to hire him after this.
Are we being too mean? I don't want to be too mean because I don't want to take shots at Javi Mar, man, as a coach, as whatever.
Well, I actually think it would be better for his career if he leaves now, because then you can say it wasn't the right fit. He left, went to the semifinal. Like he has things he can still be proud of for this and use on a job resume. But if it gets worse and worse and worse, considering the talent, and nobody around the world is going to be mistaken with how much talent this Inter Miami team has. It's not like Columbus where they have great players, but you don't really know that because you don't know who they are. Like everyone knows this is a great team that Tata Martino got a ton out of. So the worse he makes it for himself, the worse this gets, the worse he's going to make it for himself. I really believe that it would be better for him to move on now instead of just dying on this stick. Wookie says we're 4 points away from not making the playoffs. What is the most unreasonable this could get before he has to be fired? Like, whereas nobody, even Messi, says, okay, we got to do something. Because I'm there now.
I think obviously we're there. We've been there for the last 2 weeks. But I think it's going to be us getting completely embarrassed at the Club World Cup. And then if not that, then the next step is basically jeopardizing our chances to be in the playoffs.
I think that not qualifying for the CONCACAF Champions Cup is fireable. So I'm saying, like, worst case scenario, if he looks like he's not going to do that, he should be fired. And by the way, like if you're Xabi Alonso next year for Real Madrid and you look like you're not going to qualify for the Champions League in La Liga, like you're going to finish outside the top 4 or 5, that's a fireable offense. So I think Real Madrid would fire him way before it got there. But if that's where it's heading, like this is not unreasonable at all. Naya says Beckham will try and save this team with Ronaldo. Ronaldo apparently is going to be a free agent this summer. Just FYI.
He's 41, man. More than that. He's 40.
If we're going to suck, we might as well have all the fun players. We can answer the question if Ronaldo and Messi could ever be teammates. If we're going to suck, we might as well do that.
Bring back David Beckham out of retirement, Might as well.
Okay, so this is something I was thinking about during the game. Josh says, I don't blame the young players. They are lost under Mascherano. This is not a good environment to grow and groom young players. And that's another thing that's getting pretty scary to me. So Javier Telasco Segovia, like he's not developing. He was supposed to be the guy that came in and sort of filled the role of Diego Gomez. If not stylistically, his place on the roster is like a DP who had a ton of talent and a ton of potential. He was going to come in, ball out, and then go make a move elsewhere. He's not developing or getting better, which is a problem. Obviously, Ian Frey, same situation. Federico Redondo, I don't think he's gained anything from this coaching staff. And now he's just going to get continued harassment every time he plays because the fans don't want him to be on the field. And that's inexcusable when you're winning every game, but it becomes less excusable when he's not. Toto Avila's not getting any better. So it's becoming concerning, all the young players. Natalia says Scotty has been saying it for a while. Mascherano just does not have the leadership skills. Thank you.
He doesn't have you said a very good point last time. I think we went live that he's not a leader of men. He just isn't. And I don't think he knows how to bring this group out of the depths of chaos. So I don't know where we go from here, man. And we had brought Javier Mascherano in thinking that he's actually going to help the younger players. He's actually going to promote the younger players. He's going to allow some of the younger players to flourish because of his track record with Argentina U22s. And I think every player on that pitch has regressed since the start of the season. We've only seen 5 steps back, maybe 1 step forward in some cases, and then 4 steps back. So it's not been great. And the purpose with which he was brought in has not been fulfilled at all.
Yeah. Like, and again, I don't want to say it was a mistake to try it. Like, I think it's fine that you tried it. You saw a young coach who had great relationships with some of your stars, and you thought, okay, all he needs is a real opportunity, and he's got this experience with Argentina youth team, and he has worked well with young players, and he'll have a nice scouting network of young players. Like, I can understand why on paper it made a lot of sense, and I can justify it. But now you're seeing it in real life, and it's not working. It's now your prerogative to fix it, and that's the question. And is it going to happen tomorrow morning? Or is it going to happen after Philadelphia next week? Or is it going to happen after Columbus the week after? Or is it going to happen when you lose 7-0 to Palmeiras? When is it going to happen? How much are you willing to put up with until it gets there? I don't know. Someone in our comment section said they were really conflicted with wanting the team to win versus not win because they want to see Mascherano out. And I totally understand the feeling. I would never root against Inter Miami, but I can understand why people feel that way. And that's got to be the absolute worst feeling a fan can have. And if that's the feeling you're giving your fans, then it's time to go. So, and that's why I keep saying things like it doesn't matter if they win 1-0 next week, because the overall arc of where this
It's
is
not going to
going,
change.
it's not going to improve because this coach doesn't have the fundamental qualities as a professional manager to get it where it needs to go. He doesn't understand his own players. He doesn't have the ability to get the best out of his players. What was that about?
That was about me just trying to not shout on the podcast because I'm losing my mind. I was thinking about doing the post game show tomorrow, and I don't even know what we're going to talk about, man. It's just so frustrating. So
Well, we'll talk
frustrating.
about the game because this game doesn't feel like it needs any breakdown. You know, Stardy had another really bad moment where it goes between his legs. And like, I don't
Forgot
want to
about that.
crucify him. I don't want to crucify him because, while that's a terrible mistake and it can't happen, this isn't about that. This is
Yeah.
about the entire team being awful because guess what? If you put Busquets in goal, he would have done the same thing because that's how he's playing right now. And if you put Jordi Alba in goal or you put Gonzalo Lujan, like, it doesn't matter. That's how everyone's playing. It's just the goalkeeper, when he makes a mistake, it's super high profile. But it's crazy. Sergio says it played a role with Phil Neville. If we demand it, it could be done. You're very far away from getting the sort of Phil Neville outness that Phil Neville had when he got fired. I will just say that.
Yeah.
So Porto, 7 goals or 7-goal win?
Lucky if it's that. Lucky.
A says, even for Messi's sake, fire Javier Mascherano. How is this playing on Messi's legacy?
He's conflicted. Oh, his legacy. Oh,
I didn't remind me.
I'm telling you, man. Like, we're so close to now being bitter about the entire experience, and I don't want to go through that. I think now is the time. You cut your losses, make some changes, and salvage the best of the season, because at the end of the day, the best thing about the MLS is that the regular season doesn't really matter that much. We still have the Leagues Cup to play for. If we don't perform well over the next 6 months, it's really going to sour the entire experience, because with the way we're going, we're not going to have the CONCACAF Champions Cup next season. We're probably not going to be able to attract the same level of players, and there's a lot of long-term consequences that they need to consider as soon as possible.
Michael says Basha's doesn't make tactical subs. I don't think he has it in him. And I want to be clear, he is a young coach, and this is the type of thing he could improve on. And so when we talk about firing Javier Mascherano and him not having the actual goods to be a manager, it's not the tactical things. It's the leader of men type things. It's the understanding which soccer players are good or not type things. So it's not that everything is horrible or everything is a fireable offense. It's just there's a couple key things that are leading to disaster that a real coach can fix, and he doesn't seem to have it in him.
Yeah.
Wookie says nothing will change until Mascherano is gone. The team is cooked, confused, and defeated. They're so disorganized, says Mistiano. Raymond says Inter Miami, the best team on paper, the worst team on the pitch.
Not
Is
even
it?
the on paper
Does it amaze
anymore.
you how fast this has gone downhill?
That's how teams fall down, man. That's how it's always up and then so I'm not that surprised, honestly.
I'm a little proud of us because I feel like we were on top of this. Like right when it started tilting down, we were like, "This is a problem," and nothing got changed, and it
You
just
more
got
than
worse and worse
me,
and worse.
and I've now jumped on your bandwagon for sure. And honestly, I think we may still be a little bit ahead than what other people are.
No, I agree. That's how we talked about this, but like they need to fire him. And we talked to Salon in the pregame show, and he's like, no, give
No,
him time. He's
yeah,
a young coach, and it's like okay, give him more time, but lose this era of Messi of Lionel Messi. Like
yeah,
he,
absolutely.
he used Phil Neville as an example. Well, Phil Neville got fired because he couldn't be the coach for this era of Lionel Messi, and he used Greg Vanny just getting an extension for the
And
Galaxy. Greg Vanny's
this
best players
is
had an ACL tear, so
and this is not just like any other era for Inter Miami, right? This is a very short window of opportunity that we are living through.
exactly.
If we squander this opportunity now, you're never going to get this back. You're never going to have the best player in the world who's played the sport of football play for you ever again.
Yeah.
And if you let squander this opportunity, then it's going to be a joke of a club. The long term legacy of Inter Miami will be on the line. And I don't want to sound existential and I don't want to sound like everything's going to end, but it's not looking good at all.
Well, and their plan has been to go get a new superstar after Messi retires or Messi's no longer the sort of leader of the team. And you can't do that if the Messi era is a failure because no one's going to be as big as Messi. So you're sort of a prerogative. Your entire future your ideas for the future of the club depend on this being a success. And whatever you thought of 2024, and listen, I like the Supporters Shield as a trophy. Like it's meaningful. They're not even close to being as good as they were last year. Not even
No, not
close.
even. Not
And
even.
I think they have more talent now than they did last year.
Do they? Honestly,
Okay, let's eat some crow on something we were wrong about, and that was Ian Frey. Let's talk about his performance because I saw some people on Twitter and Sir Octi says Frey was bad. And I think it's fair to criticize Frey for this performance. He did have a number of turnovers high up the pitch. I think there was a number of moments where he wasn't quite as sharp as he needed to be. Um, Look at me instantly turn to defending him. I thought maybe if he had played more over the last couple of weeks, he'd be a little bit sharper, and maybe that would have come off. And then obviously, despite I think having a poor game by his standards, he was more dangerous today in attack than either of our fullbacks in terms of Gonzalo Lujan and Chelo Wigan have been over the past month. So, yeah, you're right. I thought he was poor today, but he's also even as a poor player better than Chelo Wigan and
I think he was still better than
Lujan.
Lujan. I still think he was better than Maxi Falcon. He had his issues, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't cost us the game the way some of the other errors have been costing us games. And again, I don't want to defend him, but it's fine if he has one poor performance. It's okay. It's understandable. Um, that's all.
Is there any other players from this game you want to talk about?
I'll have to
Um,
rewatch that game because honestly, it felt like a blur. And after a point, it just all blended
it
into
did.
one mesh of Inter Miami conceding goals and opportunities. So I'll have to rewatch that game. But generally, I don't think it was a good performance from anybody around.
Thuck says Mosh turned
Uh,
Florida purple. Probably no more fireable offense, if we're being completely honest.
3-0 to
Um,
your Derby rivals at home. Fire them all, man. Fire them all.
Giovanni says, I really can't see Messi renewing. Here's the thing. It wouldn't shock me if he signed his contract tomorrow because I think the deal's done. I think they know what they want. Think they know the parameters, the salary, all those things. They're just waiting for the right time to announce it. And I think they did the Jordi Alba one to try and lift people's spirits after a bad
Yeah.
run. And then you immediately followed it up with this game. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Lionel Messi got renewed tomorrow. And like that's because that's what the club is. They need some positivity right now.
Yeah.
And by
And
the way, Lionel Messi is responsible for that because Mascherano is here because he's his friend.
And I don't think he's going to jump ship just because things aren't going our way. I think he's going to want to rectify everything. So I think he stays. He renews for sure.
And he's not going he wants to be the owner of this club, or at least partial owner of this club. So he has a responsibility into turning into something. I would say or hope that he would respond with saying something like, I want to turn it into a great club. But even if you are very cynical, he wants to turn it into a very profitable club. And that's going to require, to max that out, is going to require real success. And he knows that. So, yeah. Mascherano said the defense for failure was starting Lujan. We've talked about Lujan. We were on Lujan real early too, man. Maybe we could coach this team. Give us a few assistants that actually know soccer, and then we could just make the right personnel decisions.
You need to
No, I'm
speak the
kidding.
Spanish. I'll write the speeches in English. I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Who's the team rallying behind, or who's the team leader rallying everyone? Calendar and Yedlin seemed like the glue in the early days. Messi is not. I said he has to go say rah rah, but he doesn't feel like a rah rah type of guy, like just personality wise.
I think Suarez, maybe Jordi Alba, those two seem like the rah-rah kind of guys. Messi is more like, watch me and follow my lead rather than I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah, he carries from the front.
Yeah, Maxi Falcon, maybe somebody who's a leader in the stuff. But
But you know
it
what
just
you
feels
just said? You
disjointed,
just said
man.
all players that are Spanish speakers. And I don't mean to say that that's a huge deal, but you've always had Drake Callender and Yedlin, who are guys that can rally the other half of the team. And I feel like that part of the team is probably as dejected as it gets when
If
you
not more
see
so.
some of their
Yeah.
friends have been moved on. The coach is saying things about them that they don't think is true. They're not really getting opportunities. And then you don't have anyone there to sort of rally them around the cause. Ian Frey and Yannick Bright and Noah Allen started tonight, but those three haven't all been consistent starters for the whole season. You've seen a lot of guys that have put in poor performances over and over and over and not get opportunities. And by the way, I don't want to make an English-Spanish thing. The same thing's happening to Toto Aviles in an inexplicable way. So Baltasar can't be judged, says Vice Rosa, due to the injury in that match. Do you think Baltasar is going to change or
Not at
save Javier
all.
Mascherano?
Not even close to that.
Steven says we need the best coach in the league, not the worst coach in the league. We could use, I think any of the top 15 coaches in the league would have this team as the best team in the league. That's what I think.
Potentially.
I'm just running through some. We've almost gone an hour. I'm just running through some of the chats. There's so many, and I appreciate it. I don't want any of them to go under the radar. Josh says we need a new keeper. We just got a new keeper. What are you complaining about? Just signed one yesterday.
Oh, man.
Ezekiel says this is the Champions Cup Vancouver loss. Inter's free falling to rock bottom. Before that, the team still had good chemistry. No, it was before that. The fall started before that. That was, I think, a sort of
the Cavalier game.
Maybe.
That's why I saw
game
some
was a huge
issues. Yeah.
But you're right. We saw some cracks early on in the season that they overcame. But starting with the LAFC road game, it was really bad.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of these comments and they're like,
Calorex says, I think some of the players not performing is also getting this team to Jordi Alba is just passing to Messi and being shut out. Suarez not performing, over relying on passing to Messi.
That's definitely something I think we should talk about tomorrow because it seems to be the case. There's not enough trust going around on this team, and everything seems to be going to Messi rather than through Messi.
The dude says very kindly, please guys, we were stuck on a certain one subscriber away from a certain milestone, and I think we just hit it. So thank you for everyone that subscribed. And if you haven't, please do and hit the like button because something needs to be positive about this night. Final thoughts. I'll read through the last couple of chats, see if there's anything else. Well, can we stop on this one for a second? Missiano says Di Maria isn't fixing anything. Sean says Di Maria doesn't help this team. They could sign Di Maria in 10 days. which would
But
be a big deal.
the only thing it will do would be a psychological boost. It's not going to change anything on the pitch. It's going to be a temporary
I agree.
fix that I think eventually will come down to exactly where we're at right now. It's not going to revolutionize the way Inter Miami is playing football. It's only going to be a temporary solution.
Henry says the only solution for this is to fire Mascherano. He doesn't have any idea in coaching. Josh says, is the real problem the front office? Did anything that happened over the last 7 months, right? We did see Chris Henderson move out, and Raul Sanllehi took over and then got moved on. And then we had Guillermo Hoyos for 6 weeks or something. Then Alberto Diaz. Do you think there's any part of that that's playing into the decision to move him on, or any does that impact us at all?
I don't think so. I don't think the sporting director has as much influence as someone like a Messi or a Jorge Mas. I think ultimately the decision is going to come through Messi and Jorge Mas and Beckham. I don't think it's going to come through the sporting director.
I agree, but I do think he might be responsible for finding someone to replace.
Perhaps.
And so if he feels like, or if they, like, I'm curious if they've assigned him to go find some other potential coaches. Michael says, who's this goalkeeper, William Yarbrough, Miami just picked up? Do you want to repeat what we said in the pregame show?
It's just basically to fill up the third goalkeeping spot that's been left vacant by Drake Calendar's 3-month injury. He's obviously on a long hiatus away, recovering from his surgery. So we need another goalkeeping position filled, because otherwise we're going to go into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We got knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The Club World Cup, we're going to go into it with only 2 goalkeepers, and we need a third goalkeeper. So this goalkeeper that we brought in is potentially either the second choice or the third choice. That's probably not going to be here for long, is going to deputize for Ustari in case there's an injury or a red card or some issue with Ustari, and perhaps Rocco Rios Nova. I think that's the situation here.
Do you think he'll play a single minute with Miami?
Probably not.
Do you think he'll be on the team for the rest of the season? I think maybe this is interesting because he would take up a roster slot.
Depends.
Or do you think he'll just leave after
Calendar.
the Club World Cup?
I think depends what happens with Drake Calendar in the summer. You really don't know.
Do you think there's any chance that he's Drake's replacement?
No.
Because that would concern me if they say we're going to trade Drake Calendar for allocation money and Ustari's our guy. Because that feels like something Javier Mascherano would do. That feels like something Javier Mascherano would do. Sorry, I'm just running through the last couple of chats. Sean says, do they care? There was no passion at the Vancouver loss. What do you think?
I think they care. I think they really care, but they're just struggling to understand what the solution is right now. And they're a little bit all over the place. We're headless chickens on the field, and we don't have an idea of how we're going to fix this situation. You can see in their eyes with their body language, they obviously care, and they're professionals. So eventually, I hope it improves, and it's not down to the players alone. Absolutely not.
Wookie says Gressel needs to do a tell-all. He looks so happy now. Missiano says, did you see what Javier Mascherano said? He said in his press conference that he did not see at any point his team being dominated. And Saur with his 15 frames per second, says Mistiano. Mayan for Life says Suarez needs to retire. Do you feel differently about Suarez now that Danny's not here to defend him?
No comments.
It's getting sad. Nick Smith says, fail with Messi. This is about Javier Mascherano. He's not getting another shot. Upcode says, I am also has to think about the future. They can't build a franchise post Messi under Mascherano. That's certainly true. Because he doesn't have, imagine what this team looks like if Messi goes, imagine last year when Suarez and Messi went to the Copa America for a month. How would Mascherano even be able to handle that? I don't know. Ash says we're going to miss the playoffs. We missed the playoffs. Where do you think that's where we're heading?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the current trajectory.
Henry says Drake would have saved most of the goals that Ustari conceded. Are you Drake in at this point? Like the minute he comes back, he should be the
Absolutely.
starter.
Absolutely.
I think he needs to be given a run of games.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question that's coming up a lot is Messi playing in the Philly game after the yellow card. Does he have yellow card accumulation issues?
He would have if he'd got another yellow card this game. Did he?
Well, that would have been a red card, right?
Yeah.
So he would have gotten a 1-game suspension for the red card. I don't think so.
No, in this game, if he got a yellow card, he would have had to sit out.
No, he did get a yellow card in this game.
Oh, did he?
But I think the announcer said that if he gets another one, he would miss
Oh,
the
okay.
next.
Fair.
I think.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
exactly
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Ash says, how good of a coach is Ronaldo? Oh, is that who we're going to have as a coach, not as a player? Okay. Scotty for interim coach. Let's do it. Interim. Let's be clear about that. Miami King says, of course, sack him ASAP, but realistically after Club World Cup. How sad would you be if they fired him right after the Club World Cup, knowing they could have done it now and actually had a better chance to be respectable in the Club World Cup?
It's fine. It's fine. As long as they make that decision, I'll be okay with it. It has to happen sooner rather than later, but if it happens after the Club World Cup, that's okay because my focus is primarily on the MLS. The Club World Cup is symbolic, yes, absolutely.
But
I
the
don't
Club
think
World Cup could be fun.
absolutely
And it could be very not fun.
It should be fun, but
It
I
should
don't
be
think it's
fun.
going to be fun. I'm not going to
Like,
enjoy any of those games if
there's a
Javi Mar is
way.
the coach.
There's a way. Exactly. There's a way they bring in a new coach, they play a different style, and they, even if they lose 3-0, the pompous and energy of the entire environment could be fun. But if we go into the Club World Cup like this, where we know we're going to get beat 5-0 and we don't have any faith in the coaching staff or the players at this point, it's not going to be fun. And it's going to be so sad because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Inter Miami fans. And it's going to be bad. And we, people in the chat are saying Miami should pull out. Like, of course I don't want them to do that, but it's going to be such a waste of an amazing opportunity. And that's so sad. It's so sad. Natalia says Barca didn't think twice about firing Javi, one of their own, when he didn't give results. I think this is a little different, but Javi did win a league title, right?
That's
I
true.
think Javi is way better coach than Javier Mascherano. And not that I think he's a great coach or anything, but okay. All right, we can probably end it there. So our final thoughts on this game, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll say our goodbyes.
Wake me up, man. This is definitely a nightmare. It's gone on too long. Whoever's running this really bad joke on me, please wake me up. It's become too much. Inter Miami's bad, and that's where we're at. But on a positive note, if you support your team through all the victories, then you have to support them through the bad times as well. So we'll continue to be here. We'll continue to support Inter Miami, regardless of what the results are. And I hope you guys continue to join us as well. That's all I'm going to say.
I also want to say that I feel better now than I did an hour and 8 minutes ago.
I don't.
I do, because sometimes you just got to let it out, and you got to see that you're not crazy for thinking the way you do. And so I so appreciate you, Saur, for getting on with me, and you guys in the chat for letting us just sort of have a little therapy together. I think it's cathartic. I think I will sleep better sort of having gotten this off my chest than I would have if I just went to bed being frustrated at Javier Mascherano. Now I'm going to go on Twitter and get frustrated again, seeing everyone else make new points I didn't think about. But the truth is, I really do appreciate you guys joining us. I think it's such a great experience that we have here, and I'm so grateful that you guys are interested in being a part of this, and I really do appreciate you guys. So the positive is Toto Avilas, man of the match, and that this is a great community, and I really, really appreciate it. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow. We'll do a full game breakdown. Probably not going to spend as much time on Javier Mascherano, big picture, than as we did tonight, just because we did so much of it tonight. But we'll break down the goals. We'll break down what went right, what went wrong, give out some awards, and all of that good stuff. But until then, you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and